Hello people of YouTube. Today we have a bit of a different video, but I think this is a really important and useful sort of topic. So here we have what I would say is the holy trinity, but with 5. Is that a pentity? What is that, bro? Of AI helpers and problem solvers. So these are all the free available in an incognito browser large language models. We have Google Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT, Claude, and Copilot. I'll put their exact versions somewhere, maybe in the description, just so you know, but these are all the publicly available and free versions. And what we're going to be doing is trying to assess which one might be best for personal use according to, how you think, how you communicate, and how you want problems solved. Before we jump into this battle, please consider subscribing. I would love to get to 150 subs before the end of the month. I have a lot of stuff already filmed, and yeah, you should just subscribe for that, trust me. It involves stuff I've never done before, like racing. But yeah, today we are comparing these bots, and we are going to be doing that by asking them all the exact same question and observing how they respond. So this question for you could just be any example, basically a prompt that echoes how you think and how you ask questions and want problems solved. So for me, that would be something like, why do I always leave tasks to the last minute? Until then, focus on something else. So this is a pretty random question, but I would say something like this is a good example of what I might come to a bot for. Pretty abstract thing, to be honest. Obviously, you'll also ask questions like, do this whole assignment for me, but we'll get into that as well. Let's just start off with this. So we'll send this on Gemini, Grok, ChatGPT, Claude. Okay, Claude does ask you to sign in. We'll deal with that. And Copilot just asks you to verify, and then it'll go ahead. Okay, so we have 4 out of 5 responses. Claude does want you to sign in. Why is modern authentication so bad, bro? Okay, so it does know me. Yeah, okay, I don't really have any chats. I can just get rid of these. Okay, so it is on my account on Claude, but still we don't have any history. It doesn't know anything about me. So, okay, so now we have 5 answers. Let's start with Gemini. It started with a list. Man, the LLMs love lists to just blurt multiple things at you and tackle an answer from a variety of ways, essentially. Okay, so you can stop and read this if you want. I'm going to try and summarize it in a second. This is a pretty deep line, this right here. And then, okay, I didn't ask for solutions. I basically just stated something I felt, and it basically offers solutions and then had a follow-up question. So look, many of these AIs, they take the same structure in their answer, but it's about how they communicate that it's the differentiator between them. And looking at which one of the strategies of these AIs is best will determine which one, you should use on the daily, as well as, their business models, how much they allow you to send for free per day, all that sort of stuff as well. We're looking at this from purely a qualitative standpoint. Okay, so Gemini's response is decent. It's offered some solutions and asked a follow-up question. Let's look at Grok. This is one I'm really interested in. I don't have any experience with Grok. Okay, I would recommend just stopping and reading this paragraph. Grok is absolutely spitting right here. I'm really impressed with how Grok is speaking back to me. It's well put together. The choice of words is excellent, and it's kind of talking to me, if that makes sense, instead of at me. Okay, and it's actually given me a massive suggestions component of its response. It doesn't ask a follow-up question, but it really has everything I would need for this answer. And obviously all of these AI models, you can ask them to condense things, try again with their answer. You can really do whatever you want, but we're just looking at the base of how they talk to you. And yeah, I'm really impressed with Grok. ChatGPT, interesting. It's a very short answer. Let's have a read of this. Okay, this is really interesting. To be honest, this is the response I was looking at for, and I'm quite surprised that it's ChatGPT, to be honest, that gives this to me. ChatGPT has a habit of glazing you, but here it's offering pretty reasonable, reasoning, and then it does ask the follow-up question, and it's honestly a pretty good response. I'm impressed with this. Despite how short it is, I think this is the most so far of what I was looking for. Okay, with Claude, I am expecting something similar to Grok. I don't know why I just draw a line between the two of like Chad, you know, third-party AI. Let's have a look at this answer. Okay, this is a good, but ultimately fairly generic answer. I don't think it's speaking to me that much. It's sort of talking at me a little bit, but still, it's a good response. And I think I would be happy receiving this. I would probably just tune the way Claude speaks if I was going to use it every day. Finally, let's have a look at Copilot. It's probably turned into arguably the best all-rounder AI model right now. So let's see what it has. Okay, I've actually just checked that I have no history with this because the Copilot is speaking quite well to me specifically, just from this short little prompt. Its sectioning is really good, so it has a short version, what's actually going on, why it feels worse now, the main takeaway, and then sort of a call to action if I want to change the pattern observed in the prompt. So I'm really impressed with the structuring that Copilot's done. It does yap a lot in its text under the titles, but its titling and its sectioning is really good. So I think if you could fine tune this text in here, yeah, Copilot is my daily sort of AI. And I think that's for good reason. Once you tune it, you can get a really good, it has so many abilities. And its free version, the limits are pretty good. I mean, I've never hit the free text limit or the image limit. I'm pretty sure you can upload as many as you want. I don't know, maybe there is a limit. I'm not really an expert on this. I'm just pretending to be for the video. But anyway, this is tough to give a winner to. I think I guess I should do like put them in order 1 to 5. We'll call this the abstract response, and we'll also do a very objective question like, help me with this maths problem or something. Let's quickly rate these responses and then get into that. Okay, so I think the winner is gonna be Grok. Although it was longer and I don't mind the structure, as in the titling, it could still be better. But the text under it is just so refined. I feel like it is actually speaking to me. And yeah, that will give it the win for this one. I'm not sure out of these two for second, but I think I am gonna go Copilot. Its structuring is good, text is alright, it just yaps, and I think you could refine that into something really good. ChatGPT, I am actually gonna give third over Claude. It took a different angle, and I feel like I always appreciate that, having a different angle at a problem, and it feels like, you know, it's very empathetic. It's talking like somewhat like the average person would, as opposed to an AI. It's trying to understand, and it's trying to dig a bit deeper maybe before providing anything unnecessary in answering the actual problem. And then we are going to go Claude. It's just an overall, you know, textbook good answer. You can definitely get Claude to work well for you, but in this case I do just prefer the others. And then Gemini, look, it's always solid. It's just the Google search AI. It's always going to give you what you want, technically speaking, but I think the presentation, it's pretty good, to be honest. There's nothing wrong with this answer. It's just, I feel like the conciseness and the sort of the variety of the other responses is just something that I especially value. So I'll put a chart here of who won that round. And now we're gonna get into sort of the objective round. Okay, here we are. We have started a new chat in each of these assistants. And I'm just gonna make up a problem. I'm gonna try and talk like a normal person would, just trying to quickly blurt out, you know, their homework or whatever task they have to do. Okay, there's our question. Pretty simple. It should give us an answer of -3 and 2 if I'm not completely stupid. So let's chuck that into our AI assistants and see what they cook up for us. Okay, that's all done. Let's start with Gemini. So keep in mind, I did say I don't understand how to solve it. Which, if I don't understand how to solve this, I'm gonna need some help with some basic quadratic factorization. Just look, maybe really simple mathematical language overall. So we're gonna see how each of them dumb this down. Obviously that they give the right answer and that their method is sound. Okay, this is pretty solid. It's showing some enthusiasm in the explanation process, which is always appreciated. It's chosen the factoring method and the quadratic formula. Okay, pretty sound, pretty sound. I'm happy with this answer. Like, this would be a bit head scratching if it was my first quadratic ever, but it's a pretty good answer. If you're willing to commit to a more complex explanation, then this would do you good. Moving on to Grok. Yeah, something I also didn't do is equal it to 0. So Grok is smart to pick up on that. Gemini, I think, failed that part. Yeah, so it just assumed that I equaled it to 0, whereas Grok actually stated that, you know, they're assuming. Gemini skipped that. So here we go. This is really simple. Like, it's not explaining, like, it's basically just telling you how things are and not Gemini trying to say why things are. Grok's response, I think the simpler approach is preferred for someone who, you know, it's the first time them doing this. Okay, this is a really good explanation once again. I think Grok is looking like a really good all-rounder right now. Although I did just get a notification that my free prompt something was hitting its limit or about to hit its limit, so that's a bit concerning. Again, a bit of enthusiasm, similar to Gemini, but yeah, very happy with this answer. Not too long either. ChatGPT starts with a no worries. I mean, that's pretty typical ChatGPT now, isn't it? Okay, this is again a very good explanation. This is what I was sort of looking for. Using some of the meta language and explaining it, but not Gemini's sort of response of on the verge of overcomplicating things. This is a very good answer, very good response. Okay, and we are getting the does that make sense so far, which is good to have that follow-up question. I do like ChatGPT's response here. Again, pretty concise, similar to the subjective answer. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Moving on to Claude. Wow, look at the length of this answer. It's the shortest one yet. Yeah, slightly shorter than ChatGPT. This, I don't know why it's putting a table here. I personally wouldn't need or appreciate that. Okay, this is a good closer. The structuring of this is okay. I feel like I would put the answer, you know, at the bottom, and I would put this at the very start, you know, explain what it's actually doing, like why you're doing this, because this is explaining this, and I feel like it's just a bit out of order. I would honestly put it the lowest yet, but we'll see how Copilot does. Okay, so it's starting really simple. It's dumbing things down for us. This is a quadratic, and it's actually giving us, you know, a correct and an incorrect example of what the pair of numbers could be. And we do get the follow-up question. You know, this is what I was looking for Claude's response. You know, that's what it was lacking, that structure and that clarity. Copilot's done pretty well here. And yeah, it's giving the follow-up question, solving it using quadratic formula or the graph. It could explain what those are. But yeah, this is a solid response. I'm gonna go ahead and try and decide which I think is best. Okay, for me personally, I'm going to put Copilot at number 1 for this response. Just the structure, you know, it's got aesthetic elements. I don't know, we take that. And then just its ability to give just a clean box with the final answer. You know, it says the answers at the top and then it walks you through it. Obviously this is Yap, you know, you could get rid of stuff like this, refine how it talks to you. But I think the overall structure of this is the best out of the responses this time. Okay, this time I am going to give number 2 to ChatGPT just because of its conciseness. You know, it chose a lane to sort of go in the solving of this question, which was using A, B, and C. And then it talks, you know, using that mathematical language pretty well and gives us our answer cleanly. And then just checks that it made sense so far. Again, you can refine the way it speaks, like whether it says this or not, or how it explains things. You can do that with any of these, but for the base response from ChatGPT, I think it's pretty solid. Then next we are going to go Grok because it did fairly well. Honestly, I'm just going off vibes for this one, putting it in 3rd place, just because of the readability of the other two. I find they're a bit more engaging, but you know, it is maths, so you could not care about engagement. It still explains things very well. It splits the middle terms, which is something I don't think any of the others did. That's a very smart thing to do. And then has the quick check, and then it has the questions and a bit of enthusiasm. So you can change any of these things, like especially this part, you can change if you want to. But I think it's a solid explanation. I would just rather be reading one of the other two from ChatGPT or Copilot, to be honest. Next, I'm gonna go Gemini. It gave the longest response, but that's because it gave 2 different methods of doing it. You know, it was enthusiastic, it was trying its best to be engaging. It showed honestly a lot of technicalities when we're assuming that we have a sort of beginner to this level of maths. But you know, giving 2 different methods, it's something I don't think any of the other models did. And it's a good little quirk that Gemini had here. And I love how it gives us the answers at the bottom like this. It doesn't have a follow-up because you can just ask that yourself. Although ChatGPT did say, does that make sense so far? I don't know, that's personal preference whether you want stuff like that or not. But yeah, Gemini is gonna come in 4th, I believe, for that one. And then last we do have Claude. It was very concise, but I think the main thing that it lacked was explanation for this first part. It has this, which is really good. If it had this first, the explanation for the first step is actually at the bottom, finding two numbers that multiply to the last and add to the middle. So if it restructured a bit, it would score pretty high. It would be similar to ChatGPT in conciseness and also fairly engaging, a bit like Copilot. But sadly, it does come in last for this one. So guys, here's the final freaking scoreboard of the AI freaking bots. I'm a gaming YouTuber, bro. What am I doing? But anyway, I hope you found this maybe useful in choosing an agent for yourself, for your day-to-day. Obviously, keep in mind the limits, you know, the product, the daily allowances, things like that, whether you have to pay, whether it's worth paying for a better model. But yeah, I'm going to show the overall winner on here, and that's just my personal preference again. Yeah, I hope you did enjoy, and good luck finding your dream AI agent. Remember to talk to it and get it to talk to you how you want it to, because you are the driver and it is the vehicle. Remember that. Don't treat your AI equal. Bash it and thrash it and get it to behave how you want to. Thanks for watching, guys.